This show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings and, of course, to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at HiveMindCRM.io.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Chasing the Insights. How you're doing? I'm Vince Warnock, and thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day to join me here. Oh my goodness, to join me here as I get to talk to some of the most creative, some of the most innovative, and some of the most truck-orientated. And that'll make more sense when I introduce you to my guest today, Daniel Martinez. But before I do that, a couple of quick housekeeping things. First of all, I don't want you to miss a single episode of Chasing the Insights. So whatever platform, whatever app, whatever tool, basically however you're listening to the show right now, why don't you reach out and give that subscribe or follow button a push? That way you're notified every single time there's a new episode. And we do multiple episodes per week because, well, to be honest, we've got an amazing lineup of speakers just like Daniel who want to give you content to help move the needle for your business. And speaking of good quality content, don't forget to check out the Chasing the Insights Insider Club. Not only is it a great way to support the show, but for $10 a month, so the price of 2 cups of coffee a month, you get access to something far more valuable than coffee. You get access to exclusive content just for you. This is masterclasses. These are downloads. It is behind the scenes of the podcast, video versions of the show, so much more. Go check it all out at chasingtheinsights.com/insider. But now, my friends, that is not why we are here. No, I am here to introduce you to a very good friend of mine, Daniel Martinez. He is a podcaster, a real estate investor, a trucker, I kid you not, and a software owner. Now, Daniel's been an entrepreneur since 2018, and then back in 2020, the old days, he started the List Guys, which is a data and skip tracing service. Then in 2021, because, you don't want to sit still, he started HiveMind, a real estate and business mastermind that comes with his all-in-one CRM system that can host unlimited websites and users. I mean, how cool is that? Oh my goodness. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us, my man. It is such an honor having you on the show.
No problem, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. It's an honor to be here, and I appreciate your time.
Oh man, I'm so excited about this because we're going to be talking about, well, actually, we're going to be talking about something that's incredibly important to entrepreneurs, and we'll make them both kind of breathe a sigh of relief when they hear it, go, oh, yes, I need that. And at the same time, get a headache because the thought of it, if you're not familiar with it, is quite difficult. And that is business automation. So before we get into business automation, though, Daniel, give us your backstory. Like, tell us how you got to where you are now, why you're so passionate about what you do.
So sure. So backstory is I used to be a truck driver. I used to load trucks. I used to drive all over the U.S. and a lot of work. And my dad always told me to work smarter, not harder. So I've always knew I'd want to do entrepreneurship. I want to do business owner stuff. So eventually started pivoting. I started my own trucking company, pivoted into real estate, data, and now software. And now I kind of do data, software, and real estate. Those are my 3 main businesses. As far as how I do it, business automation. Business automation is everything, every process you do in your business that's either you or your team can do, you can automate it. So our whole thing is to automate before you delegate, because you might have to delegate it all. And that can save you time and money as far as repeating the same processes. That can save you a lot of just headaches because there's human error. The less human error you have, the more efficiency you have in a business. So that's, in a nutshell, the short answer.
Wow. Okay, so much to dig into there already. First of all, you realize you are, I mean, I know you've got your own podcast there, Daniel, but you are a dream guest in that normally I have a list of questions here. I'm like, okay, we're going to get you to define business automation. And then I go, right, we're going to get you to talk about what's the advantages to us. And then you're like, hey, I'm Daniel. Boom, here's the answer to all the questions you may have in your head. I love that. So you talked about, like, I love this concept of automate before delegate. This whole concept that actually most of these processes that we look to outsource, most of the things that we think, hey, a VA can take care of that, or an assistant or a team member or a junior or an intern, can actually be automated in that sense. So how do we go about? So we're just going to dig right into this, man. We're going to go right into how do we as entrepreneurs, we're sitting there going, okay, Daniel, that makes sense, but that's stressful for me. Where do I start? Like, what are the first things we should be automating in our business?
So most entrepreneurs, early entrepreneurs, are solopreneurs. They have no employees, they have no interns, they have nothing. They wear the sales hat, they wear the marketing hat, they wear all the hats of the business, every single hat. Yeah. So if you're that person in your business, whatever you do over and over again, in whatever process you do, whether it's selling sales calls, whether it's outreach marketing, whether it's back-end task, whatever that looks like in your business, you need to start recording and processing all those tasks, because when you start hiring and growing, you need to be able to train how to do those tasks A to Z.
Yeah.
So some things can be automated. So a lot of our system is outbound marketing. You have to, no matter what business you're in, you're a marketing business because you have to market to get more clients. A lot of people like Mr. Warnock here, we do the podcast just for marketing purposes. Yeah. This is our marketing.
Yeah.
So you need to automate marketing tasks. So whatever that is. So for him, he might need to automate his podcast in a certain way to get more guests signed up and coordinated.
Yeah.
For people that you do sales, say you do car sales, you need to get leads in to sell, to get cars to buy, or else you have no cars to sell. So there's a lot of things you can automate, and it is different for every business. And the beauty about HiveMind is the software can help any business you're in, not just real estate. We use it for real estate because we're real estate investors as well.
Yeah.
But no matter what business you're in, you can use it. So we have podcast clients, we have attorney clients, we have little boutique shop clients.
Yeah.
Gym clients. Like, it doesn't really matter what you are. We can help any type of client, because the base of every business is a CRM and communicate with your customers to convert.
I love this, man. So first of all, I love that you defined it straight away by saying, okay, most people are solopreneurs, but solopreneurs can automate as well. Because I know that a large portion of this audience are solopreneurs, infopreneurs, mumpreneurs, whatever you want to call them. There's a bunch of them sitting there going, okay, I'm too small to automate. That's medium to large size businesses that do this. But you've already smashed that myth and said, no, you can start automating now. And I love the process you just gave us as well, which was to actually start recording the tasks that you're doing within a process. And so, in fact, let's dig into that a little bit more. So you talked about a sales call, for example, right? Selling in a sales call. If we were to sit down and, write down all the different tasks within a sales call, obviously not all of that can be automated. So talk us through what aspects of a sales call, for example, we can actually automate.
So I equate it to water. Everybody needs to drink water at some point, whether you have to drink water.
Yeah.
So if you have a product that's so necessary like water, how do you sell it? Well, you can talk on the phone to individuals and ask them if they want to sell water all day long. You're going to find people to talk to all the time.
Yeah.
Those are your leads, right? Well, if it's a necessity that they need and you're doing the right targeting, you can put them on automation to put them through a process to buy where you're not even talking to them, which is the goal.
Yeah.
Because you need to automate your processes. So how do you do this? Well, with our platform, you might have a website with a checkout page. Hey, click here to buy water. Well, how do you notify those people? Well, Facebook ads, Google ads, texting, email, you send them all a link to buy water. And now you're not actually on the phone selling water. You're sending them a page to buy water, and then you have a process team on the back end that does it. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that could be done. Like, there's a lot of, and this is for a lot of solopreneurs too. They think they have to talk to every customer to sell them. The truth is, you really don't. If you have a smooth process and they understand what they're getting, they'll buy through automation all day long.
Interesting. Okay. So it's basically setting up a really slick sales funnel, essentially, by putting that through and automating that. So what other aspects, like if we're going into the sales call, so we've driven someone to a landing page through a Facebook ad. So say, for example, Jane is sitting there looking on Facebook, sees an ad for, HiveMind, for example, and says, this isn't water, but this makes sense to me. This is something I'm interested in. Goes to a slick landing page, goes through the process in there to then go and buy. What other aspects of that can you automate? Like, do you automate the follow-up systems on that? Do you automate the delivery? Like, talk us through the other aspects of that process that we could essentially plug into a system like a CRM, like HiveMind, like HubSpot, like any of these, and actually get that process working for us.
Great question. So if for most people that do sales, it takes 7 to 12 contacts just to get a sale. So you have to have a follow-up system. You're hardly ever going to get a sale on that first contact. It might happen. Not saying it doesn't happen, but it does. But you're going to have multiple follow-up systems. So once somebody comes into that form or text in opt form, you're going to have to hit them through other fashions. So you can text, call them, set up an email campaign, send them offers to different prices, price points, discount offers. It's a simple thing of, I for all my contacts that come into my system, I send them my contact card. Hey, save my number. Here's my contact information. Save my number. So it kind of stabilizes who they are. What I like about this is a lot of people in our generation, they like texting. They don't like getting on the phone. So you can do sales through texting all the time. So we text our clients all the time. That's how we manage our clients. So if you want, instead of doing like chatbot services, we manage our clients through text, all of them. So it gives them the ability to pull up their phone, whether it's midnight or 5 a.m, they can text us if they have a question, and my team will respond if they need assistance, if they have certain questions. And you can fill in automation based off of keywords. So if they ask a question about customer service, you can set up an automation, whether it's text or email, to send them based if they have a certain question. So you can automate a lot of those processes. We had a client text and he's like, "Oh, this is just a robot." And I replied to my phone like, "Yeah, this is a robot talking." So you can mess with people. So you can fill in with human integration, whether it's you or your team, and communicate and convert those clients 100%.
Yeah.
And they're in your system.
I love that, man. I love that. You just reminded me though. I remember being on a phone one time, just calling up a company, and this woman answered, and I so thought it was a robot, because she was like, "Just one moment, I'll put you through." And I was like, "Oh." She goes, "What?" It gave me such a fright. I was like, so I had to admit to her, I thought she was a robot. I think she was slightly offended, but that's okay. Okay, now you talked about this sales process, the automation of the sales process. So immediately, I know Melissa, I know all of you listening to this, I know exactly what's going through your head, because it's pretty much the same thing going through my head as well, particularly at early stage business. You look at this and you go, well, this is the dream for us as entrepreneurs, because this means less work. It means less having to pay for employees to do some of the more menial aspects of this. However, there's also an anxiety and a stress that kicks in at this point as well, going, that's all well and good, Daniel, but how do we, knowing what to automate, how do we know the approach stage? So say, for example, you talked about the 7 to 12 contacts that we have to have with every person that we want to sell to, right? So we have the initial contact that comes through a Facebook ad. They go to the landing page, they've filled out their details, but they're not ready to buy, or maybe even they haven't filled out the details and they're not ready to buy yet. How do we go about knowing what the best things to send them to? What, like those 7 to 12 contacts, how do you identify the content that should be in all of those, like the approach you should take? Because I know most people listening to this right now are going, well, that 7 to 12 emails, is that just, "Hi, buy my product, hi, buy my product, hi, buy my product,"
So it's funny you asked that. So we do everything. So if you're doing typically Google, Facebook ads, it usually retargets them. So they're going to see it more times. Once they come into your system, you can set up a campaign that goes out for every person. So whether they come in next week or today, they're going to get that same campaign with the 7 to 12 touches, and you can customize that. So for us, what we do to reach out to our clients is it's just, hey, check out what we're doing. Hey, we have a YouTube channel. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitch. We're on a podcast. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. Check out this testimonial video. Check out this other testimonial video. It's just introducing them to who you are, kind of understand who they are, maybe do an introduction video, what your process looks like. And a lot of selling is not selling. It's just making aware of who they are. And that's the biggest thing of sales, is that there's some people they go hard into sales. You can go hard into sales, but at some point, people just want to know who you are and what type of business you do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was going to say, I think you've nailed one aspect of it there, which is the piece that also comes with attention when it comes to automation, which is, they want to know what you do. Essentially, they want to know who you are. And this for me has always been the challenge around automation, is that a large portion of selling, a large portion of marketing your business is about building a relationship with someone. So essentially what you're proposing here, which I love, is that we are building a relationship on automation, on autopilot, essentially. So taking it from that perspective, I think is really interesting. Like as you said, you're giving them more information to understand who you are. You're bringing your personality out. You're bringing out who you are within those email sequences, those text messages, whatever it is. If it's chatbots, all those different things to be able to build that relationship with them.
And this is a perfect lead into a book. If you have a book or writing a book, this is a perfect offer to give them so they understand who you are. There's so many different or free products and services, a free checklist, ebook, whatever that is, that gives them ability to understand what you do and how you do it.
Now I see what you did there, Daniel. So, so giving them a book or giving them a lead magnet checklist, whatever that is, essentially you're adding value to them. And I love this approach when it comes to that nurture cycle, going, okay, if it's going to take 7 to 12 different touch points for them to want to deal with me, to want to buy from me, I'm going to make sure that every single one of those 7 to 12 touch points is adding value to them. Where if it's giving them something for free, if it's giving them some tips, if it's giving them some advice, if it's showcasing different like inspiration, so people that have done what they're doing before so they know they can do it themselves, that's a powerful approach. Oh, man. Okay, so we talked about the sales funnel. What other aspects of our business should we be starting to look at automating? Particularly, let's actually focus on the solopreneurs for a moment, because they're the ones that immediately would kind of push back on automation. So what should they be looking at automating?
I'm really glad you asked this question, because it was something you said earlier that I wanted to throw it in, but this kind of leads right into it.
Yeah.
So making yourself look bigger than you are. So you don't want to be customer service, because customer service sometimes has to be mean. So if you make yourself bigger than you are and like, hey, I talked to my team, here's the number to contact them. It gives you anonymity, because they don't know how big your office is.
Yeah.
If they know you're a solopreneur, they might take advantage of you because they know that aspect. If you act like a big company and present yourself as a big company, they'll never know.
Oh man, there's so much I want to say about this. So I remember, I don't know if everyone should remember Sub Pop Records, but this was the record label that signed Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and kind of was the birth of the grunge scene. But I remember watching a documentary about them, and the owner was hilarious. Basically, it was a one-man band. Then he brought on board somebody else. But he was fielding calls from Vogue magazine about the fashion of grunge. He was like fielding calls from NME magazine, Melody Maker in the UK. So what he would do is he would literally put on all these voices, and he would go, answer the phone and go, hello. And say, I want to talk to, the AR person, blah, blah. Just for a moment, I'll transfer you. And he's like, hey, g'day. And so he would put on all these different voices to seem bigger. But you're taking care of all that for us. You're doing it all in automation. There is a downside to that, though, I will say. So one of the things, and this is embarrassing to admit, Daniel, but early days of one of my businesses, we really wanted to look like we were bigger than we were, because we were entering into markets and we had to build a huge amount of trust with people. And our office was literally a 2-bedroom apartment. And we just hired this apartment. It was up, this huge flight of stairs. It was really nice. It was a nice environment. And we had 10 of us crammed into this 2-bedroom apartment working all day. And one of the things I decided to do was to do some mock-ups in Photoshop. That way on Google My Business, right? When people were actually Googling us, instead of seeing a picture of our building, they would see this flashy building with, our name all over it, on the signage, and the office would have these beautiful glass doors with the frosted logos and everything. So we mocked up all this stuff thinking that's clever of us. And I remember it was probably about 4 or 5 months later, I get a phone call from someone going, I'm completely lost. I'm trying to get up to the office, but I don't see the building that's on Google. So he actually was looking for the Photoshopped images. Instead, all he found was this poxy little apartment block sitting above Asian takeaways. So I guess you got to be careful with some of the big, like looking bigger than you really are, right?
So I have a story with this too. And I just say outsourcing customer service, and it looks like outsourcing customer service, because customer service, sometimes you don't want to be that person, or you don't want to be known to be that person.
Yeah.
Because it takes sometimes you have to be direct, and you don't want to be the owner and be direct. The owner should be sympathetic and salesy, and customer service should be direct, just like separating the HR manager.
Yeah.
You as an owner should not be the HR manager, because the HR manager has to fire people.
I like this.
But I have a story with this. So when I had my trucking company, I had to resolve a situation directly, and I had to drive my truck. And I was driving my truck aggressively. And this is a semi-truck, 18-wheeler, possibly 80,000 pounds, 40,000 pounds empty. I was driving it, and I was trying to get away from one of my drivers. Whole another story, but I cut somebody off exiting a turn. So when I was driving, I got a phone call, and I never answer my phone just because I don't want to be customer service. So later that day, I went home listening to my voicemails, and somebody called me, hey, one of your drivers just cut me off. And I was laughing because it was me. I cut you off. So it's just one of those things where if you're customer service, you get a laugh about it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when
yeah.
you hear all the when you hear all the complaints, and if you do hear complaints, but you can deal with them not as the boss, but as customer
Yeah,
service.
yeah,
So it kind of
yeah.
separates you from ownership to customer service, because
Yeah.
customer service is its own thing.
I used to work for a company. It wasn't my company. I used to work for a company that made incubators and plant growth chambers. I was working in the electronics department there, designing them. And we had a situation where something went wrong, something malfunctioned in some of the cabinets. It was an engineering issue that had happened with the engineering team. And because we were selling throughout Japan, this was a really big deal. That was our biggest market by far. And the company that we're dealing with there was really upset about this. So the boss that I had at the time, the CEO, he was incredibly clever and incredibly dodgy. What he would do is he'd ring them up and he'd go, look, this is not acceptable. We've looked into this. We've found that Joe is responsible for this. So I have fired Joe. We didn't care, even though his wife's pregnant at the moment, we did not care. That is it. We take this way too seriously. He's out. He's gone. Joe never existed. And Joe also, by the way, his wife seemed to never give birth to their baby, because every probably few months when something went wrong, Joe would be fired and his wife would be pregnant at the time. So it didn't matter who he was dealing with. This poor guy, Joe, was just getting fired and fired and fired. But it was just, he did this to, not that I agree with the manipulation of it, but he did this to showcase to them that actually we take this seriously, but not in a way that, hey, we're actually going to fire one of our real staff here, because we're human and we make mistakes. So
That's an amazing story, man. That's an amazing story, because and in sales, you might have to blame the other person in the room. So we always if a person is upset about, hey, let me talk to the boss, let me make sure it's okay with them. Sometimes that person in underwriting or that person in the office, they're really hard to handle.
Yeah.
We have to overcome him, and you just walk outside, and
I love
like 5 minutes later, I took care of him. He's done. We're ready to move forward.
Oh, I love that. I love that. All right. Well, let's move on to, okay, so we talked about sales. We talked about some of the other aspects of the business, about like customer service. What's the most kind of obscure thing or the most random thing that you've had to automate with one of your clients?
I like Facebook group automation. Everybody should have a Facebook group, because it's a free resource that most people overlook. And the reason why I say a Facebook group is because people just find it organically just through Facebook.
Yeah.
And you can collect emails and phone numbers. We call it a toll bridge. So a toll bridge is like a lead magnet page. They come in, ask for the information. If they provide it, you take it. If they don't, you still let them in, because you still have value to provide over here. But you can collect it on the way in if you just ask. So a lot of people, they don't ask, they don't receive. So you have to ask for the things you want to receive the things you want. So Facebook thing is a simple thing to incorporate that anybody, no matter what your niche is or business is, start a Facebook group.
I love this. I love what you did there too, because a lot of people do, and I used to do this as well, actually. So I used to have in the questions to join a group. So you have a private group on Facebook, people find it, and you have these questions there to say, hey, do you agree to the rules? Give me your email address and I'll send you a free blah, 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 or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, people don't fill out those anyway. They just try and join the group, or they're doing it on their mobile phone, which means that it's not going to come up with the questions immediately. And half the time they miss that. So rather than keep them pending for a while or going back and trying to get that information, what you've done is you've actually taken it a step back and said, hey, if you want to join our group, here's a landing page. It's basically got a toll there where it's like, if you want to join our private community, give us your name and your email address, and then we'll send you the link and you can join the group. So I love that. That's how I do it now. But it was so frustrating. And the other thing too is, even when I first started, this is really embarrassing, first started my Facebook group, the first, 150 people that joined, I was like, right, I've got all their email addresses because they've all plugged it into, the questions when they joined. I've got all their response. Like I asked, how'd you hear about the group? What's your biggest challenge with marketing? I'm like, right, this is growing really fast. I'm going to extract all that data out, and then we're going to be able to help all these people. Yeah. And then you realize you don't have access to that data. It's gone. So that was super frustrating, man. So yeah, so having a toll gate on there, I think is an incredible thing to do. Great advice, man. All right. So before we kind of get into the part of the show where I ask the same question of all my guests, what are your last kind of tips around automation?
I love this one. Is think about this. Think of automation as, I only have to get it right once and never think about it again.
Ooh. Now that's appealing. Yeah.
So a lot of people, they get overwhelmed by, how do you do this? How do you get this thing? So I always tell people, whatever is most important, address first, and then just automate it once. Once it works once properly, you already know how it works, and you can manipulate it if you need to do minor tweaks, but you only needed to get it right once and just let it go.
I love that. I love that. Well, that brings me to another question then, because, obviously there's so many aspects of our business that we can automate. But at what point should we or how regularly should we be looking at that automation and looking to tweak it?
I set it and forget it unless something wrong happens.
Yeah.
Or something wrong, a wrong outcome comes, then I'll tweak it. But if it's working and it's working great, I don't touch it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I have seen these things go terribly wrong. I won't name the person because they'll get very embarrassed by this, but I know they listen to the show, so it's going to get worse. But I remember joining a 5-day challenge that they had. So I went in there just to see how it runs for them and things like that. I won't say what the topic is, but might give away the person. But they were running this 5-day challenge. So I thought, right, I'll sign up for this. So I signed up, and then it popped up with a chatbot and an email. So I got an email at the same time. The chatbot popped up and said, hey, just let you know, this is the process that you're going to go through. Step 1 will be blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool. Then chatbot pops up again. Email pops in my inbox again. Then chatbot again, email again. And their entire 5-day automated sequence, which was, I think, 5 messages per day. So all 25 messages popped up at the same time and just absolutely ruined the experience. It was super embarrassing for them. They did recover, obviously. I mean, they came out to everyone and said, hey, look, first of all, humblest apologies. You shouldn't have received 25 emails from me. Shouldn't have had 25 messages on the chatbot. This is my mistake, blah, blah, blah. And they owned it and they recovered from that really, really well. But certainly it's the kind of thing that causes anxiety amongst people when they're looking to automate as well, is going, like you said, do it once, get it right, and then you don't have to worry about it. But get it wrong and you've got some recovery to do, don't you?
The good thing about that is most people understand.
Yeah.
So and you'll find out real quick when you messed up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Yes. I sent out an email. I had an automated sequence. So somebody signed up for a masterclass. And as part of the masterclass, it states clearly, and there's a tick box and everything that says, I will send you a workbook for this. So the automated email just immediately, once they signed up, sent out the workbook for them and an email to tell them to join the Facebook group where we're going to go live. And I had somebody send me a reply to that and unsubscribe from my emails and that saying, this is unsolicited. I signed up for you. I didn't expect you to send me a workbook. And so obviously they didn't bother reading any of this kind of stuff. So I just went back to them and didn't confront them. I just went back and said, look, my humblest apologies. This is part of my process. I'll make sure it's clearer on there that you're going to receive this. But yeah, feel free to, you've obviously unsubscribed. If there's any other way that you want to provide feedback to, let me know. So I did smooth it over with them, but it's just frustrating sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Like I said, I've had clients that text like 1,000 people in 10 minutes, and it's just like, it happens. You'll learn.
Yeah,
learn. It happens. You're not the first, and you won't be the last to do it, so don't worry about it.
There you go. You're human, and that's A-okay. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel, we are at the point of the show. I do like to ask my guests the same question, which is, what are 3 practical tips you advise every entrepreneur to do right now to move the needle for their business?
Automate before you delegate.
Nice.
Choose. Number 2 would be choose the processes that are most important first, and don't focus on the grander scheme of things. The problem with a lot of entrepreneurs is they get like chasing the tail syndrome, where they get lost pretty easily. Yeah. Whatever most important in your business that you want to automate or hire those first, and do what you love and hire the rest. Nice. Number 3, do what you love and hire the rest. A lot of people, they don't like certain positions. Like I'm good at sales, but I'm not a salesperson. I don't like sales. So I have a sales partner that does that part of it. I do the back end software. He does the front end. So there's different. You can hire a partner with the faults that you have in your business. So it's not always your problem to deal with.
I love that. Awesome advice. Hey, Daniel, look, I knew getting you on the show was going to be, it's going to be real fun. And it's also going to be very informative. And it definitely exceeded on both of those. And thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom around automation as well. I know people are going to get a lot out of this. Now, I'm going to leave links to everywhere you can connect with Daniel on the show notes for this episode. So you know the drill. Really simple. You need to go to chasingtheinsights.com, look for Daniel's smiling face, click on that episode, and you're going to see a whole pile of links there. You will see a link to connect with Daniel on social. So go and connect with him. Really awesome guy. You're also going to see a link to the Hivemind CRM. Definitely go and check it out. As far as CRMs go, this one has got everything. It is awesome. Plus, also check out the mastermind, and there's going to be a number on there that you want to plug in. And if you text us, you get access to a text course, which is how to make six figures on a land deal. So make sure you go and check that out at chasingtheinsights.com. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us, my man. It has been such a privilege having you on the show.
No problem. I appreciate it, man. It was a great call.
Awesome. And it certainly was. So there you go, everyone. Like I said, go and check out the show notes for this episode. And don't forget, if you haven't already, to subscribe or follow. So reach out and give that little button a push. That way you're notified every single time and you don't miss out on awesome episodes like you just heard now with Daniel. Plus, if you haven't already, make sure you check out the Insiders Club. Great way to support the show. Even better way to get access to exclusive content to move the needle for your business. Anyway, my friends, that is the formal part of the show out the way. But I want you to do something for me before we go. I want you to take a really deep breath. So everyone breathe in with me and breathe out with me. And the reason I wanted you to do that is really simple. I want you to be present right now because I want you to hear something. I want you to hear the fact that you are actually something special. You're an entrepreneur. You're a business owner. And whether you feel that, whether you feel it, whether you know it, whether you understand it or not, is irrelevant. What it is you are genuinely someone special. You're one of a tiny percentage of human beings that have the courage, the tenacity, and the passion to birth something new into this world. And before you go, I want you to picture what that actually means. I want you to take a moment and think about what you're actually doing as an entrepreneur. You are taking a seed, a thought, an idea, a concept. You are taking something that is abstract and you are calling it into existence. You are literally birthing it into this world. That's just freaking amazing. That is worth acknowledging on your life. It's worth recognizing on your life. But more than that, my friend, it is worth celebrating. So on behalf of both Daniel and myself, we just want to wish you all of the health, all of the wealth, all of the happiness, all of the success, and all of the love that you so rightfully, and I do mean rightfully, deserve. You see, entrepreneurship is a strange beast. Like, we sign up for this weird roller coaster ride. This roller coaster ride where we have days that we are absolutely crushing it. Days where every piece of automation is working for us. Days where, the leads are coming in strong, the conversions, your bank balance is looking great, you're getting testimonies, everything is just really slick, and you're like, you know what? I'm winning at life. This is a great day. And the next day you wake up and you go, this is too hard. This is too difficult. I can't do this. I can't face the day. You've got automation that's broken. You've got customers complaining. You've got salespeople sales that are wanting their money back. You've got whatever it is. You've just got all these things that happen, and you're like, this is too hard. It's a roller coaster ride. So I want you to do a couple of things for me very quickly. First of all, I want you to be kind to yourself. I want you to allow yourself the grace to have a good day and a bad day as well. Both of those are fine. In fact, they both balance each other out. So allow yourself to have those kind of days. And then the other thing I want you to do, as well as be incredibly kind to yourself, is on those days where you are struggling, those days where you are finding it really, really difficult, I want you to make sure you reach out to someone. Reach out to your mentors, reach out to your coaches. If you don't have a mentor or coach, make sure you get yourself one. Reach out to your peers, reach out to friends and family if that's appropriate. Reach out to Daniel, reach out to me. We are in your corner and we want you to succeed. You see, you are an entrepreneur, my friend. And like I said, that makes you special. But it also means that you know that what you're doing is important. In fact, if you're listening to this podcast, there's a very, very good chance you're an impact-driven entrepreneur, which means you really want to make your mark on this world. So you understand the importance of what you do. But what you may not realize, my friend, is that you are also just as important, if not more. In fact, the world doesn't just need what you're doing. It needs more of you in it. So be incredibly kind to yourself, my friend. Allow yourself the grace to have good days and bad days. Make sure that on those days where you're struggling, you reach out and you ask for help. Now, I'm Vince Warnock. This is Chasing the Insights. You, my friend, are an absolute freaking legend. Don't you let anyone tell you otherwise, and don't you dare forget it. And I'll see you in the next episode.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the Skip Trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.1listguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.